Galways. 1. Galway in winter, 2000. The Corrib River hurls itself against the wolf-toned bridge and through its stone arches on the final leg of its 4-mile journey from Loch Corrib to Galway Bay, and at this point, river hardly applies. The water has more than energy, more than life, more than a personality. In January, swelled by the winter rains, the Corrib River barely bears any remote connection to the sedate, nearly comatose thing it is during the summer. This is the way I like my river. Part of the river's volume is oxygen, the water whipped into rolling thunderations by Galway's winter gales, and the force of trying to move that much water under the bridge. Even on those days, I'd like to sit on the stone benches of the Spanish Arch, facing the Claddagh on the other side of the river, hypnotized by the full-bodied tumbling of the water, like children turning somersaults on thick mats. The water, it lives. It breathes. I want to lose myself inside that frantic energy, to be so totally consumed by it that all my skin and bone is reduced to water. They tell tales of a woman named Galva who drowned in this river, and in her memory the city of Galway is named. I do not want to lose myself like that, but the thought of being consumed by the energy of this river is something I can understand. But I can't sustain that energy if I tried, and I have tried. And when I do try to lose myself in the river, I find that afterwards I need to cross the bridge, follow the canal past the Claddagh, down the rocky strand of the Claddagh beach to Galway Bay. There is usually calm there, even on blustery days. Even though more water is involved in the whole of the bay, it can still never match the river that pours into it. 2. Galway in spring, 2005. In a concert hall at the Northwestern Ohio University where I am teaching, the stage lights illuminate a man I've been dreaming about since I was 10 years old, holding my own flute for the first time, having so little concept of what a flute could do that I asked Mr. Stennis if it could play more than one note at one time, like piano. In high school, I remember trying to research James Galway, but my searches only brought up Galway itself, a city I had never heard of and had no interest in. It would be several more years before I understood the essential nature of that city. As for the man himself, I never thought to hear him in person, and as I did, on that spring evening, in the night and the light and the half-light, as Gates wrote, the bright stage lights ignited the alchemy of listening and hearing. The music became physical, like I could feel it on my skin if I concentrated hard enough. The notes from his golden flute were not birdsong, as flutes are often cast, as in Peter and the Wolf, but this was water, flowing over my hands, cupped in my palms. A clear stream, no color to it, absolutely transparently crystal. Colors, blue and gold, the summer sky and the early morning sun, and twilight blue so deep and rich that it is nearly indistinguishable from black, a canopy of conifers and deciduous filtering the notes. And with a twist of his lips, a change in his breathing, he turns the water into any form he desires, that essential, elemental thing we can't live without. Like the movement from the introduction to river dance, gentle as it flows around rocks, and I can hear the dappling of sunlight on the surface of the stream, not wide or deep enough to be called a river. There is depth here, but it is not the same as other rivers. Here, it's clear enough to see the sunlight cast shadows on the sandy riverbed through the ripples. I can hear shivers of light through the trees, different in tone as it rustles leaves and needles. In the vibrato of his lower register, the notes bounce off the surface of the water, turning light back to a frequency we can't bear to look at for fear of blindness. Then into the dance, drops of staccato notes, and we wonder how it can rain when there are no clouds in the sky. The elements of nature we have come to trust have been shattered, altered into something else. Only time will tell if this change is for the better or not. You could drown here and not even notice you are wet. 3. Galway in summer, 2005. This, I think, is not a river. This is a long, skinny lake, and a poor example of that to boot. It's not even enough to say that the tide is out, because I don't think the tide could make a dent on this water. It's not the river up north in Sligo, where I've seen the wind make the river seem to run backwards. There's not enough movement on any day I've sat here in summer sunshine or summer gray to say that the river trickles down from Loch Corrib to Galway Bay. There's hardly enough water to float the swans who like to beg by the quays. The river in summer smells. It smells green and dank and briny. It is not the clean, fresh, living thing it is during the winter. The river in summer is nothing. It has no life, no energy. How is it that the season of hibernation and death is the season that brings life to this river? How is it that the growing months cause this river to stagnate? This river, for all that it is only 4 miles long, is anything but simple, anything but comprehensible. 4. Galway in pain, 2009. I've heard from friends that there's flooding in Galway, the worst they've seen in 40 years. I know of flooding, and it feels like the betrayal of a relationship. The river has a place between its banks, and we have a place on the shores. It stays there, we stay here. It is, as Galway Canal observes in a different context, a rainstorm rather than a river, a concept I hear every time I now think of Galway and the Corrib. The oath broken. The oath sworn between earth and water, flesh and spirit, broken. To be sworn again, over and over, in the clouds, and to be broken again, over and over, on earth. There is always forgiveness. We always forgive the river. We think it doesn't know any better. We think it can't help itself. It's not its fault. We think we can recover. We think it's just water. 5. Galway in summer 2007. We'll just sit here on the stone benches of the Spanish Arch and just be for a while, to listen for the sound of the salty Galway Bay mixing with the fresh water of the Corrib River, for the rustling of swans near the Claddagh Quay, and the delighted cries of the children feeding the fishermen's souls bits of bread, the near emotional transparency of this water that binds this city together. This river is the circulatory system of this city, the water its blood. Galway would be nothing without it, dried up and fading to dust in its grave. The water moves swiftly, but is like one solid sheet of water moving towards that glorious fusion with the sea. Only when the wind is high are there waves, but the urgency to reach the bay on this early summer's day is not the same as it is in winter, like the water will literally explode if it doesn't get there soon enough. The river in winter will break you into small pieces before you get to the bay. The river in summer, at least on this day, has more of a calm urgency, like a smooth bulldozer, the surface like waves of black obsidian. It will not break you, but absorb you. It does not roll over itself. It is like one big sheet of glass moving in one piece. The movement is relentless, but without the joy of winter, as if anything in the path of that water will be crushed and drowned. But if you move with the water, if you lie on your back and let the water carry you, if you remember that your body is 80% water, you will be carried to paradise. It is a matter of surrender, of not wanting the river to be anything but what it is, of not wanting the river to change into what we think it should be. This Corrib flow through our veins gets into us the longer we sit here. The wind that fills our lungs today, its briskness requires no effort from us. It fills our lungs automatically, whips past our skin and demands our full attention. There's something wonderful in the basic existence here that requires little energy from the part of ourselves that's human. The wind is sharp enough that we're glad for long sleeves but resent the necessity. We want full participation in the day, and that includes everything our skin might tell us about who we are and where we are and how we are. Sun, rain, even the constant threat of seagulls. If we wanted something else, we wouldn't be sitting at this bench on this river. But we are here.